Testimonials are worth their weight in gold if you do it right. The problem is they're usually not done right. So testimonials are great because they're really, really powerful at building trust, right? If somebody else says, this person over here is fantastic, you need to work with them, that carries a lot of weight. It's a third-party verification. It validates your authority and your credibility. Very, very powerful stuff. They're also really easy to get. If you have happy customers or clients, they're usually willing to do a testimonial. The problem is, a lot of times testimonials end up being these rambling sentences or paragraphs, and a lot of times they're not focused. People don't know what to say sometimes, right? If you just say, hey, give me a testimonial, they could end up talking about their pet for a half hour. It's hard to know. There's a couple of steps that I think you should take, and I've found success with this over and over in a bunch of different industries. It'll work for a restaurant as well as it works for an Airbnb, manufacturing, anything and everything, service businesses. It all works, right? So you need to keep in mind a three-step process. First, you ask the questions. I've got a set of questions we'll go over. You take those questions and then you compile it into a single sentence or paragraph, and it follows a logical process. Then when you put that paragraph together, get their approval. Make sure that it's exactly what they intended to say. And I have never had a person say, no, that's not what I meant. Here's something different. They will pretty much always go, wow, that's exactly what I wanted to communicate. That's perfect. And they'll be happy to share it or let you share it. So question one is, what pain or issue were you facing before you worked with us? With all of these questions, you can modify it to what you think is going to work best for you, but think of the underlying intent of the question. So for our chiropractor, what issue were you facing before working with us? Or what pains did you have that you couldn't resolve on your own before working with us? Something like that is a great first question. Start with that, let them give the answer. Second question, how did that frustration make you feel, or how did it affect your daily life? If you're selling barbecue grills, they have a frustration. Maybe that frustration makes them feel really intimidated or angry, right? They burnt family dinner. So let them answer the question, how it makes them feel. And that word is the key, the word feel. How do they feel? Next question, what changed after your experience with us, or how has life improved? You can do both questions, you can do one. But let them say, things were terrible, made me feel awful, and then things are so much better now. And they'll explain that to you in that question. You can take a tiny little fragment of a sentence and work with it with this question. Next one is, what specific result can you share? This one's optional, but it's really, really good. If you feel like your testimonial person is willing to share that stuff, put that question in there. Next one, what would you say to someone who is on the fence about working with us? This one is fantastic because people will give their wholehearted stamp of approval for you and sometimes say it in a really unique way. Great question to ask. This is kind of a junk drawer. Anything else they want to add? Sometimes they'll throw stuff in and it'll be shockingly useful. You'll really like it. And then the last question is kind of just a cover your backside kind of thing. Do you grant permission for us to use this in a testimonial in our marketing materials? That will just give you the freedom to work with it later on. It's a good thing to have. So with all of these questions, you can ask them in person. You could have a paper form. I like to do an online form. You can send them a link and they go through these questions. Tell them it's going to take 2 minutes or less to fill out. Maybe a minute to fill out. It really goes very quick. And then it gets submitted. And then let's go back to here. So those are the questions you ask them. Then you take all of their answers and you go through it. You can even use AI to do this, but you basically stitch those questions together into a small paragraph, and you're going to have a really glowing testimonial, and each one will be unique to you or to the person who's giving it. Then you send that off to them or show it to them and say, hey, just wanted to make sure this is what you intended to say. Are you okay if we use this as a testimonial? Again, I've never had anybody say no, and pretty much everybody's excited when they see it. I hope this is a help. If you have any other questions, be sure to reach out, leave a message in the comments, or visit my website.